All right. So Nas versus Jay-Z is the hip hop version of Bret Hart versus the Shawn Michaels. And there's so many parallels within this rivalry within the WWF and hip hop. I'm gonna give y'all a few examples. Nas and Jay, just like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, started off as friends. Actually, they had a mutual respect, but then it got personal when competitive nature started taking its course. Then the feud got later nasty and it got personal, and it changed the guard of the industry. The fan interest was at its all-time high. And see, Nas, like Bret Hart, was seen as the lyricist, wrestling purist. Jay-Z is kind of like, Jay-Z represents what the clique will represent at the time in terms of power, influence, and mainstream appreciation. So you had a clash of that. They both had a similar screw job. Nas felt he was screwed with the Power 105 thing when they refused to let him perform Ether. I mean, not Power, Hot 97. My bad, Hot 97. And Bret Hart, of course, with the Montreal screw job. Both rivalries had classic moments. Indeed, both had involved women. And in disrespect went both ways. The only difference is with this one here is that it didn't go to the hands. And both of them had peace treaties. They both had sit-downs, having them in the same room to talk about their issues and going further. And there's another thing, too, that makes this similar. They still throw shots at each other to this day. Despite Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels' relationship, they made a peace treaty. Bret still throws little swipes here and there. He throws little swipes here and there. He even threw a swipe at his boy Triple H when he said that his match with Undertaker was 4 out of 10. Just like now. Even with Bret and Shawn were throwing swipes at each other in their books. And I think Shawn threw a swipe at Bret today when he said, I was the Joker to his Batman or the Lex Luthor to his Superman. Bret was easily a better wrestler than I am. But I think I was a better performer. Then you go back to this. Nas and Jay. Nas posts his track listing. Jay-Z posts his Grammys. Jay-Z still ain't over Ether. It's clear he's not over Ether. So, but then again, you look at this. Look at the timeline. Every time Nas gets his moment, Jay tries to interfere. Nas releases Stillmatic. Jay comes out with the Blueprint Unplugged. Nas comes out with Godson. Blueprint 2 come out a month before that. Nas's Hip Hop Is Dead. He about to drop that. Caused a lot of controversy. Jay-Z comes back out of nowhere with the Kingdom Come album. All of a sudden want to come out of retirement. The Nasir album. Jay drops the Carter album with Beyonce and Jay. Even 50 Cent started seeing that. It was like, dang, man. He doing you now. He trying to slap you upside the head. Nas, every time you do something, Jay got to follow up. So, it's that competitive nature involved. And you see the similar here with Bret and Shawn. But it's not going to go to the streets. It's not going to go to nothing violent. It's usually some competitive nature. And clearly, Jay-Z definitely ain't over the ether. He's definitely not over ether, but this definitely parallels with the two. It's too coincidental, man. Like this rivalry here is considered the Bret and Shawn of hip hop. Where they, even though they squashed it, they still throw shots at each other. Just like they even had a sit down. And Bret and Shawn did that later on, like 10 years later. Jay and Nas had a sit down in the same room with Sway. You can check that out on MTV. It was even dope seeing those two in the same room. So then you see Bret and Shawn doing the same. Then even with this thumbnail, you see the similar handshake. it's too obvious. But that's my thoughts about that. I just wanted to point that out, man. Be sure to check out the show tomorrow night. I got Beat Gods on board. So let's get to it. Holla at your boy.